Okay, back on at 11:30. All right, we have more of a concept than language, really, but it's premised upon a 2-year contract that would start October 1/13 and end September 30th, 15. In year 1, we would have an across-the-board base wage increase. The percentage would be established by the board in its upcoming fiscal year budget. As you know, they're talking about 3%.
What's the date that that's going to be finalized?
September 24th, I think it is.
That second public hearing.
Yeah, 24th. Yeah.
That across-the-board percentage wage adjustment would be implemented the first pay period after we reach agreement on the performance standards that would be used for the second year of the contract. That's the 14-15 fiscal year contract. 2 of the agreement, there would be some base wage adjustment. We're not sure what that number would be yet, across the board, plus the performance-based money that would be implemented in the next year's budget. So we have guaranteed money essentially in year 1 and 2. We have no performance pay in year 1, but we would commit to performance pay in year 2. And we would discuss the content of the performance evaluation forms and the scores and how that would convert to money with you before it's implemented.
Have you identified what the split would be in year 2 of how much of the overall increase would be across the board and how much would be based on performance?
No, we're working on that. I mean, our first concept is that year 2, I think you could take this from what we said before the break, that in year 2 it would be only performance-based.
I understand.
But we realized that you might be looking for something more solid than that, to commit your, if I remember, why would I vote on year 2 if there's no guaranteed money in it? So yeah, that's why we've come back and we've modified even our own concept of it, is that we want you to buy into year 2.
Without even knowing what the split is, I mean, you could say, yeah, there's an across the board that's equal to, 1/16 of the overall, I mean, I just don't know.
Oh, I know you don't. But I'm giving you concept.
I know, you're giving the overall.
I'm trying to give you a view for how we're approaching how to get to a 2-year agreement that you could get ratified. Without having to reopen wages in year 2.
We're going to have to reopen wages. I understand this concept, and that sounds fine. The thing is that without having all the components to it, I can't possibly blindly agree to whatever it is. I mean, there's just nothing wrong with bargaining for wages. And so what's the fear of that? I mean, you got to sit down and explain to us anyway. And what's our recourse?
We used to bargain wages for 3-year contracts when the economy was better and commit the money in it. And nobody ever said I had to have a reopener in year 2 and 3. You said a dollar amount that you would spend on salaries. So that used to happen all the time. Not just in the public sector, but in the private sector. And we're prepared to do that. The only missing component is your agreement on what the performance standards and procedure would be, and we're prepared to spend time to do that in year 1, so that it eliminates the need for bargaining in year 2.
Okay, but your idea of explaining is nice and everything, but what happens when we disagree with what you can see? And we just think it's like completely totally out of whack and it's far-fetched and it's just, you set these goals that are basically, a setup for failure. There's just no possible way someone can get that goal. You just can't. Because, but that's something that, you think is valuable.
Why would we do that?
Like I was just starting to say, it's something that you may think is valuable, to have someone constantly grasping for something they can't quite reach because you believe the benefits would be, well, they're going to be doing more than they would have if we didn't set a goal.
Any organization that's committed to performance-based pay never does that. You don't set a goal that people can't achieve. That defeats the whole concept of performance-based pay.
Okay.
What we want is, we want to set goals that people can achieve and be paid more for having realized that goal. That's what a performance-based system is.
That's what it's supposed to be, I get it. So now, what is the fear of us opening up the contract in year two?
We don't want to waste time bargaining again. As you pointed out earlier, we've spent a couple of years bargaining and still don't have an agreement.
Right.
Why would we want to reopen it up?
When did I say that?
Earlier today.
I don't think I said that.
And according to you, we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on outside counsel.
When did I say that?
Yeah.
I didn't say that today either.
You didn't
You
say
said- you
that.
said
You
that-
watched the video
you said
today or
that-
something.
No, I watched it. I have a TV.
I'd just like to say that I wish you had bargained my contract for me.
Yeah,
That's what it
because
was.
your figure was so far off, it wasn't even funny.
I'm not. I don't get paid anything like that.
Well, all I know is what the invoice says, so.
That's not the invoice.
All right, but we don't need to belabor
Yeah,
that.
actually it was. But anyway,
We're talking about money for your people,
I'm
not
not,
money for me.
I'm concerned enough to go 2 years with even remotely considering the proposal on seniority that doesn't allow us to agree something that we disagree with. And you say, well, let us establish a track record. Okay, over the next 12 months, we'll see how things go. But now it's not 12 months, now it's 24 months. And so that's a bitter enough pill to swallow, okay, which I don't even know if I can get the thing ratified. But then to say that, oh yeah, and by the way, year two, you just basically just take what we give, and we're not going to base it on what the BOCC decides as an overall increase, that there's going to be this, this performance concept that we can't just quite define just yet, but trust us, it's going to be okay.
No, we don't want you to trust us. We want you to work it out with us.
You want us
We
to
want
sit
to
and listen.
incentivize
You want us
you
to
to
sit
do
and
it.
listen to your plan. That's the way it's been described to me.
No.
We're going to sit down and explain to you what it is. Well, that's nice, but what if I disagree with it? Well, we're not bargaining, John.
Maybe you'll improve it. I didn't say we're not bargaining.
That's what you said. You don't want to sit down and
We
bargain. You
acknowledged
said-
from day one that the tools used to earn performance-based pay are a mandatory subject to bargaining. I said that from day one. You actually re-quoted me. You said,
I
you
did.
thought I said it.
But I
Well,
also
did
just
say
heard
it.
you say that when I asked, why is it that you don't want to open, so what is the?
I want to
fear?
deal with wages for year two now. I want to spend money in year two to buy the piece of year, I want to bargain in year one to settle the piece of year two.
But you can't tell me what the amount is for year two.
Well, we will at some point. I can't tell you today because we just developed the concept. And
Okay, I understand the concept.
You know,
You're saying prior to ratification, you will tell us what year two is going to give us?
you don't want us to come in and say, here's what our position is, okay? But then when we take breaks and we develop new concepts to try to reach agreement with you, you're critical that, we don't have the final answer. Well, we
No
don't have the
offense, I was
final
critical
answer
before you left the
because we
room.
want
So
to talk
nothing-
with you.
I was critical before you left the room.
Okay.
Okay, I was critical of your plan before. Nothing's changed since you left, other than me checking my messages. That's the only thing that's changed. You came back into the room and you're describing a plan that in year two, you don't want to bargain, you don't want to talk about wages, you want us to just accept what it is that you decide is going to be acceptable for year two.
I didn't say that.
Not in those terms, but effectively it's the same. That in year two, you want us to agree to, in year one, you want us to agree to that year two will be based on what the BOCC decides is going to be a wage increase, and what the BOCC or the administration decides what the split is going to be between and across the board, and what's based on performance. You can't tell me what the overall percentage is going to be. You can't tell me what the split's going to be, and you can't even tell me what the performance criteria is.
I started with.
But you want me to read all this?
No, I didn't. I don't want you to agree to it. I want to lay out the concept
I got
for
the
you
concept.
and talk
I don't
about
like
it.
it.
Okay. Well, you haven't given it much thought. You know, I'm starting to think that you keep saying your goal is you want to get a contract.
I do.
But what I
We're
really
the
see
only
At
ones-
this point in time,
We're the only
I'm
ones
thinking
coming
a
up with
one-year
ideas.
agreement is probably the best thing to do.
what I really see you wanting to do is bargain endlessly for the rest of our lives.
Oh, yeah, that's really a goal
It
of
seems to
mine.
me like you want something
Unlike
that can
you.
be ratified. That's the main
We
thing.
brought two things to the table today, thinking outside the box on it, okay?
Okay,
You
well,
brought nothing to the table except the thing you brought to the table on day one of bargaining.
No,
The same concept over and over again.
concept, not saying proposal.
Okay.
So listen, I'm starting to believe that a one-year contract might be better. Might be better because, as you said, the trust factor needs to develop, right? And if we have a concept of seniority that's based on trust and based on one that we can't grieve, and then you really don't have a clear understanding of what year two economics are going to be, then how is it that we can get involved or agree to a two-year contract? It just doesn't make sense to me. And so it's one or the other. I mean, you want to have a two-year contract, and we gotta get it to where we can live with it for 2 years, and not have so much subjected to developing trust, or have some more defined economic. And I know you can't tell me what year two is going to bring. You can't, because it's all based on the economy. It's based on the lower taxes. It's based on a lot of different things. And I understand that, but you got to understand my position that without having any sort of definitive, you came in here and explained the concept. I understand the concept. I don't disagree with the idea that having a partial across-the-board increase and a partial merit performance-based increase is a bad idea. I don't know if it's a bad idea or a good idea until I see everything that's involved with it. If the numbers were right, I'd probably say it's a really great idea. But without even giving me the numbers, conceptually speaking, it sounds interesting. It sounds cool. Once you get it all figured out, let's talk about it. And that's probably not going to happen until next year.
It seems to me like they're going to come up with the numbers, and they don't want to be in the process of negotiating because they don't know how they would change it if we didn't agree. It seems like.
Well, we don't want to wait till next year to do it. We want to do it now, and we're prepared to continue bargaining until we do it.
Well, that's your latest proposal, and we understand it. But I mean, does anything I said make sense? I mean, we have a lot of language in here that's just, first-time language and stuff that you're going out on a limb, well, so am I. If I'm gonna stand in front of a room full of employees and tell them, hey, this is it's not the best contract in the world as far as I'm concerned. It's a good first contract, and I believe in it, and I'm encouraging you to ratify it, and that things will improve. And if I can't do that, I can't stand up in front of a room full of people and say, that I got your back. I can make sure you're treated fairly. And that's what you pay dues for, to make sure you're treated fairly. And I'm going to enforce this contract, but then the contract is kind of watery where, well, we got to just base it on trust and we can't use the grievance procedure. It puts me in an awkward position that I don't know if I can sell the agreement. And so I can do that if I say, listen, guys, it's only a one-year deal. Let's just get this thing forward and move along, and we'll see if Ms. DeSimone and myself can get a good working relationship with ironing out workplace issues, which I'm wholeheartedly interested in doing, and that we can build a level of trust like I've done with other municipality, resource managers or whatever, or human resource people. I want to do that here. But until all that stuff is laid out, I can't just jump into a pool with the lights out, not knowing what the heck is at the bottom, and having a contract where year two is just effectively what you're just saying is that whatever the BOCC decides next year is what we're going to live with.
That's not. You can put in those negative terms, but
It's
that's
not negative. There's nothing negative about that. I have that language in other contracts, believe it or not. But the trust is there. And there's no performance pay thing. If there was a performance pay thing, then it would have to be negotiated. But you don't want to negotiate it. You
Oh,
want
no,
to
we do want to negotiate that. Actually, our year one proposal deals with the concept of negotiating it. Don't say we don't want to negotiate it, we do want to negotiate it.
But why don't you want to open the contract? How do you negotiate without?
Because
opening?
once we have the performance-based issues in place, there's nothing to negotiate in year two. That would be applied.
So you're talking about negotiating the performance pay program.
That's right.
Well, how can you negotiate without the thing being open?
I can't negotiate anything with the approach you're taking to it across the table. You're right about that. You're making it impossible to reach any kind of compromise, because you've entrenched yourself in a position that you can't find a way out of. I can't change that.
I disagree with that.
I could draft language and give it to you and look away from the bargaining table, and maybe you'll think about it, and you'll come back and you'll talk to somebody else about it that has a different perspective on it, or you'll analyze it differently. But I can't do it just going back and forth with the table. You don't want to do it. That's the conclusion I've reached.
Well, that's your conclusion, and it's not necessarily an accurate one as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, what do you want to do next?
Explain the concept to me. You explained the concept to me, and I've explained what the defects are as far as we see them. I've explained that the easiest thing to do is in year two to open an agreement to talk about wages. I don't understand what's so difficult about that. I don't understand why you're afraid to do that. I don't understand why you're not willing to do that.
Well, as I tried to say, I don't want to be too far into next fiscal year, because we want to be working on the evaluation, the new evaluation with the goals and everything. If you wait until really late in next fiscal year and then say, that's not the way we need to do it and everything, then it's too late to do it the right way.
I don't have a problem
That's-
forming a committee or resurrecting this committee for the purpose of working on a performance pay plan, okay? But then, during the course of the year is what you're suggesting.
We're trying to do it, have it in place at the beginning of the fiscal year. We already have the form, everybody's been trained. It's a matter of setting the goals.
John, your way, with the reopening in year two, your people have nothing in year two until we reach agreement on it, okay? And then if you base reaching agreement on our past history of doing it, we could go through that second year of the contract with no agreement, and therefore no increase. Our proposal, even though we haven't refined it and just threw it out as a concept, would guarantee some money in year two.
Some.
Okay, some,
I'm
yeah,
looking for a
which is
quantity.
better than zero. Don't you agree?
How can you guarantee something when you can't tell me what you're guaranteeing?
I've told you
I'll
that
guarantee
because in
you
year
something.
two, I've got two components of it.
I understand.
I've got some percentage that I'm prepared to say, that's what the county will pay across the board in year two, plus some other amount based upon what we negotiate on performance.
Okay, what percentage is that?
Well, that to be decided. We haven't gotten there.
No, I'm not talking about the second part, I'm talking about the first part. You said,
I can't tell you today because I just came up with the concept, within the last hour and a half.
So-
knowing that you want to be able to take something to your people.
what do you want from me today? I've already said it sounds like an interesting plan. I have nothing.
Well, you only said that after you spent, 26 minutes shooting it down.
I said it earlier. I guess you weren't listening. We wanted to take that. I said it sounds interesting.
All right, what I
Sounds
want from you
interesting.
today, I want you to say to me, draft it up, let me look at it.
I've drafted it up, let me look at it.
Great,
Sounds
okay, I will. All right, we just reached agreement on that. Great.
Basically, you gave us this here, but you've got to go back, refine it, and come back with something more solid for us to look at and say, oh, okay, this is what it is, and go from there.
Yeah, I bought the tree, now we gotta hang the ornaments on it.
Well, I say, go back and let's hear what they got to say. I think-
I'm always open-minded to see whatever
You know,
proposals you have.
He's gonna hang the ornaments
since
on
it's
it.
a
That
brand new
Christmas, you just go
thing,
like this,
I
except
need
what he gives you.
talk to Michelle and see, you know, how far out on the loan we can go. You know, but, sounds like a good idea. But obviously, we're not gonna do that if.
I will say, the only thing I
No.
apparently misunderstood was that you weren't going to define what percentage split between performance and across the board in year two until year two. That's what I thought initially.
No.
So you're saying prior to going into this agreement,
Yes.
this CBA, that will be defined?
Yep.
That's what I guess I didn't understand. Now
Yep.
I understand. So again, until it's in writing, it's not, you know, it's nothing. So that's great. Come up with it and we'll take a look at it.
I got a nice
Well,
one.
that was the impression I was getting
Across
too.
the board, 40 for performance. There's a good number for you to start with.
First of all, you're not the one making proposals. 75, 25.
Okay, so we might be able to get 60-40.
You want us to step up while you guys negotiate that?
Nah, that's okay.
Yeah, negotiate with each other.
Board does it.
So what's next?
Nothing.
Nothing. You done already? Bankers hours?
We've made two very good proposals in that.
Yeah, I think it's your turn.
We carried all the load.
It's funny, you know, I'm walking out of here with no paper. It's subposal. No, I am pleased with the movement. I am, but, you know, I am not going to sound the trumpets of how, I mean, it's a far cry from what we wanted, but I think that, you know, at least we're moving somewhere in the same direction.
Here you go. Just initial it.
I can just go in once.
Just I'll fill it in later. All I'm asking you to do is approve it.
100% radius. Across the board. You got my signature. Seriously though, you gotta quit, or can we look at something else?
Right. Scheduled for 12.
Do we have another date?
Yeah, can we pick one now? We
Did
don't have one booked.
we have them?
I don't think we did. No.
I know we had scheduled 2 in a row, but I don't know if this is the second of the.
Today was the last one.
Was it?
So do you have a 7-minute article proposal?
Well, I just wanted to, I don't know, I'm better off not I don't like what I got to hear. But
That's okay, we're not sensitive.
I will just say this in generalized terms, that the few proposals that you have where the workers are having something that they currently enjoy taken away from them, it's just not gonna fly, you know. Just take that with as a computing overtime. And you know, the idea of going backwards is just kind of hard for a typical worker.
Well, you know, we do have a new county administrator, and she has a different philosophy. Although, you know, like I said, she does not agree with the seniority thing. She is more pro-employee than Mr. Gallagher was when he came to union. So I'll be honest, I did not have a chance, we were talking about a lot of other things, but I did not have a chance to talk to her about the open items to see if she wanted to move on any of them. And I just, you know, she just left on vacation, she'll be back next Monday. And I can have that.
Just convey that, appreciate it. Or you want to get another date then?
Mhm.
Friday?
When does she come back from vacation?
Which Monday?
A week from this Monday? Well, how long would you need to talk to her about the other issues?
She'll probably have a long line.
I don't know what she's saying, Carl.
This is number one over everything.
Probably a busy one.
Be surprised how many issues there are.
Actually, 13. Right? She goes, I'd be surprised at how many issues we have. I said, well, I see 13.
I think that was the no, the regular, huh. Let's see. Do you have anything to say?
Why do you gotta lose overtime when you come here for negotiations? So you work overtime, right?
We need to check with
And then
Doreen.
you come in here, you gotta take 4 hours, leave no pay. You lost 4 hours of the overtime. Is that right? Yeah, all right. I just want to know if
We
that's
might need to
worked
send
all
you
the way
some
around.
dates. We got a couple of dates floating.
Well, I can tell you what, I got kind of a busy
Other
hours,
unions.
so I can tell you what I can't do.
Yeah, why don't you do that, because we have, I need to check, we need to check with Doreen, because, we have a bunch of holds, and we need to see what was confirmed and what wasn't.
Well, I don't know if next week is too soon or not.
It is.
Okay. Well, my first available is the 8th, and then after that, not until 19, 20, 22, and 23.
19
20.
through the 22.
21st is out, so
Oh,
19,
19.
20, 22, and 23. And then the whole last week I'm open, as of this time.
Okay.
Leave for the 26th, okay.
Like, if we can book 2, that would be nice.
Okay. Yeah, we just have some question marks on the calendar.
And can you, send me something with that seniority thing in writing, since we've already talked about it during bargaining, just send me your,
You volunteered?
Okay, I guess we're done.
You heard from the heart, man. I said, you don't need a sheet, you bring it. I said, I'm here for the heart, from the heart.
I'll pay off some bills.
Take care.
Yep.
All right,
See
you
ya.
too.
Frank, just to clarify, with the coding, we're doing the study,
Right.
but we, usually we automatically implemented. We need to see how we're gonna do that. So right now, we're just doing the study. So that-
All right.
because sometimes
All right.
people
All right, I'll-
hear coding and they think, oh,
I'll just keep to
yeah,
myself.
yeah, but, well, it's not a secret that we're doing the coding.
Just gotta wait and see. All right,
But
I
how,
appreciate it.
how to get together Monday.
Hey, we appreciate
So we're
it.
just like back gathering.
Thanks, Barbara.
Okay, have a good weekend.
You too.
Huh?
What's that, Joe?
Today's date? 26.
Well, guys, I don't know if it's coincidence or if it directly had to do with speaking to the board or not. I would hope they had something to do with it because that was the plan. The plan was to go before the VOCC in a public setting and blast them for how much money was wasted in a way that they can't respond. That's the beauty of the public comment. They
I'm
can't-
sure it made a difference. I mean, obviously, what you did, just her saying to her that she knows for sure Michelle's totally more you know, on our side than the old guy was. That, I mean, they let loose more today, just these three different things than we've had in the last 3 years.
Oh,
That's a big change.
Raise the bottom, that's fine, but you're gonna raise the bottom for whoever else is making less than that.
But you're not taking into account education experience, all that other stuff.
If their experience in there is all gained somewhere else. If you want to hire them into a managerial position, you can pay them whatever you want to pay. But if you're hiring them as a rank and file employee into a bargaining unit classification, and there is an established pay range, either tighten up the pay range if you need to, or when you hire them off the street. I mean, you know, let's face it, most of our jobs are, our bargaining unit positions are rank and file, and not necessarily, a lot of them are not college required positions, and a lot of them, are just being paid for the work they're doing, and that if an employee comes in as an equipment operator, that they should be paid what, to start with what that range pays. And if that's not high enough to attract employees, then maybe you should reconsider, maybe do a wage survey or reconsider your pay range, because if you can't attract people at the lowest end of the range, then you're probably not paying enough. And we think it's patently unfair that if you're going to hire somebody in as an equipment operator in a pay range, as an example, from $10 to $15 an hour, and we have 4 or 5 people making $11 an hour, but you want to hire someone who says he's got all kinds of experience doing this for years and years and years, and pay him $14 an hour, when we have 2 employees that have been working and proving themselves in that classification.